So today I'm going to be doing a little tutorial video. So anyway, we're going to be looking at how to stitch together drone footage in 360 using the Kodak Pix Pro. And pretty much any drone, you can do this with the Mavic, you can do this with the Solo, you can do this with the DJI Air. And yeah, if you're interested in this video, please make sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Yeah, so anyway, here we go. So I got some footage here, so I'm going to take our second clip. I already did the first clip here, but I'm just going to drag these so we're in the same bin with both of them, and I drag them both in. And the trick that my friend did here is he clapped his hands together when he did this. So I can go into synchronize, I can go audio synchronization. So I go to synchronize, and I have audio synchronization right here, and you're going to see it's just going to do this really quick, calculating sound-based synchronization. And we can see, did it line up? It was off by 3 frames, so he was pretty close. I hit apply, and it slightly shifted it. You can see right there, barely moved it. But now it should be time synced. I can see this if I jump around in the timeline, and we'll see if it takes off at the correct time. Yeah, so it looks like they're both in the same time sync. I'm going to stitch it at this midpoint right here in the timeline. So I move on to my next thing here, stitch. I thankfully have this nice template made by my good friend Alex Pierce. You can find that at his website. And I'm just going to do stitch current position. You can also do stitch current selection and choose, 15, 20 there, but let's just see how this does. Hit stitch. You can see it processing down here. My computer's pretty fast. I'm actually doing this without my computer plugged into any power or external storage unit. And I'm trying to do this pretty quick because there's a Warriors game on. So anyway, this is beautiful Long Beach, and you can see there my previous stitched shot, which is exporting right now. So while I'm doing this, I'm also exporting another shot. You can do multiple shots using color stitching software at the same time, which is a nice benefit of it. So there's our shot. It looks beautiful. It's upside down, but it looks beautiful. So I'm going to flip it right ways, and we can see right here. Alright, it looks pretty good, except you see right here, we see the legs of the tripod, and also right there. It's very subtle, but something that I notice and something the client's going to notice. I'm also just holding down shift and using my mouse to arrange this. I'm looking essentially for straight lines. I would use these palm trees, but I know that they sway a little bit, so I look for the architecture of the building around me. So this looks pretty straight here. The other trick is to look at the horizon. If the horizon looks flat, then you're doing pretty good. I hit apply right down there. You see it's applying the effect, and we can move on to our next step. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to mask those out. So I'm going to hit edit here, and it's going to open up the other component of color, which is APG or AutoPanic Giga. You can see here the other shot that I had in there from earlier. Do I have to close out of this to go back? Yeah, I'll just close that. There we are. So there's our second shot. I double click on the image, and you can see both of the images right now. It kind of looks like blurred vision, and you also see all of our legs. If I hit this green button here, all of a sudden it makes it look how it's going to look when it stitches it out, but it still has those little things right there. You can also zoom in with the plus buttons here to see a little bit better. So I'm going to go into my masking tool right here, and there's a couple different ways you can use plus or minus. You can add things or remove things. I like to add things because I'm a positive person. So I look at this and I see, oh, the leg's right there. I go onto the other end on this one and I say, all right, put something there, a green point. We definitely want this. But you saw when I did that, and all of a sudden now we see the propellers in the other shot, which was hidden before. So now I go back on the other side and hit a green mark there. And you can see it kind of makes this nice wave motion. That's what I'm looking for, that little curve. And it should look pretty decent when I move my mouse over. Yeah, so it hid the markings there. So now I just got to do one again. So again, make sure you're on the right layer, the right lens side when you're doing this. Boom, put it right there. You can see it made a giant marking. And then I go back over here and I put it over on the other side. And now it should do a perfect little blending of the two. and I hit my checkbox there, the green checkbox, and it saves it. Something else I'm going to do while I'm over here is I'm going to look at my control points. And as you can see, I have a lot of control points here, but not a ton over here. So let's create more control points, so this way it will stitch better. So what I do is I just drag my mouse, and I sort of crop out the area I'm looking to get. So I just want to grab this whole area over. So I now do the same thing on this side. I'm mainly hitting the same numbers, the same section on each one. And when I do this, the computer is now looking at both of them and saying, what similarities do we see? The green markings represent good connections that it feels strongly about and that it knows these are the same things. When it pops up with the red ones, that's bad things. Although sometimes the red ones can end up making a good stitch. So don't think just red and green. But in case you're wondering what these orange things are and these green things, that's what they mean. So it looks like it's getting a little bit better there. I'm now going to do a shot in the dark. I'm going to go 59 and 1. Just two things there. I'm just going to see what I can get if I just tell it focus on this. Because there's a lot of similarities. If you look at these things, the patterns should connect. It should easily find them. But again, the human eye is always going to be better than a robot's eye. So use your own distinction here. Currently, we have 187 connecting points. I like to go in the range of around 900 on stitching that I do for clients, so we got a ways to go. But you can see here I got a bunch of red points. Now don't freak out when that happens. All you do is you hit this red tool looking thing up there, and it will try and convert those red ones to some green ones. Now again, we still got some bad ones, and you can delete these out, but I tend to like to keep them until I'm done. So I'm going to just focus on certain areas that I think I can get more out of if I just tell it to look a little bit closer in these little specific notches. Sometimes if it looks at a big area, it gets a bit confused. So I recommend telling it to look at these little specific areas. And again, this is taking a bit longer than it normally would, just because my computer's doing a couple different things. So you see we're getting a couple more points here. Let's see if we can get some in just this area here. I'll just have it focus in on this. It should be able to see some recognition between those shapes, but who knows? It's worth a shot. And especially with these things over here. We're basically trying to make a giant circle around this. So you see we're getting some connecting points, even though they don't want to be friends. We'll make them friends in the end. So anyway, this is the first of hopefully many tutorial videos I do. I'm a college teacher of virtual reality 360 filmmaking at Academy of Art University in San Francisco. So if you're interested, you could take my class where I can literally show you these things. I had some students ask me about drones in 360, and they wanted to do that for their first project. And I said, yeah, you could attempt that, but it's a bit tricky. So I figured I would make them a tutorial video so they can see. So you can see here we got lots of red, but there are a lot of connecting points. I'm going to hit this red thing up there again. Didn't take care of them, but let's look back and see how this looks. Doesn't look too crazy. Stitching could probably be a little bit better. Let's see what else we can do if we dig into certain areas a bit more. Because again, we only have 600 here. The more connecting points we get, the better, and then I could always remove the red ones very easily, and I'll show you that little trick too. I usually try and keep my tutorial videos under 15 minutes, and I'll try that with this one as well. But I do want to get a good stitch in here so that way my client is not PO'd. And there's just so many gaps I still see. Another trick for stitching this better is you can jump to another point in the timeline and then bring it back into APG and stitch from that area. I chose this one because it seemed like it had enough field of view, but it might be better if I was a little bit further back from my environment. So anyway, I'm feeling pretty positive about this. I'm going to hit that button one more time. Didn't really clean up too many, but I can go into my RMS. Good RMSs are around 3, but I can see in my control points, or my links here, my 959 points, the visual similarities are kind of low. So now if I go to my control points here, I can literally go to which ones I see are the lowest. See, my hundredths I like, 20s I don't like. And I can go through and just say, I'm going to delete everything out that's under 50. 51, whatever. Oh, I hit the wrong button, so you're going to hit the shift button here. Oh man, I'm messing up this tutorial. So now it's selected all those ones. I'm just going to delete them. Control delete, maybe? Command delete? Oh, remove. Double click, hold it down. This is software created by French people, so it's a little crazy, a little out there in some areas, but I still really like it. It is currently owned by GoPro, but you know, hopefully they will continue to improve it and make it better. They're still letting it be an independent company in France, though, which is kind of nice, you know, being hands off. But maybe they need to get their hands in there and make it a little bit better, make it a little bit more intuitive. I'm continuing to add more points here just because I like to see them all the way around. These points, basically, the more of them you have, the better your stitch is going to end up looking. FYI. You can hear my cat in the background is getting pretty hungry. This tutorial is going to wrap up soon. I know you're like, God, you're being so repetitious here, but in the same instance, I want to show you every aspect of what I'm doing to make this look decent. So that way yours can look decent. So you see I'm getting more that are like not exactly green, not exactly red, kind of in the middle zone. Again, some of these can work. Some of them aren't horrible for it. So don't look at it like, oh my God, my stitching is bleeding. That being said, these two cameras are about a couple inches apart, so there is issues in terms of that that I'm trying to address with the edits, and we'll see how it comes out. Certain locations work better. Oh, did it not grab the others? Come on, computer. Find me some similarities. See, now here I should have grabbed this whole area. The more that you get of it, the better it's going to have, because you see it's like as if I cut that off. So none of these are even going to come into play now, really. Come on. Pictures, analyzing, cleaning. So anyway, if you have other tips or other tutorials that you'd like me to make, feel free to write me a comment below and I will do them. I'm planning to do one about how I do my edits in Final Cut whenever I make a daily vlog, and I just figured it would show you the difficulty of doing drone stuff. Alright, so anyway, I'm going to give up on that there. It looks decent. Could be better. Another thing you can do is go into here and play with if you want your cutting to be smart or ISO. You'll see some changes there. That looks a lot better. Stick with the smart. Hit save. Hit the green check mark, should I say. You see it does a little save there, and I hit save here at the top. When I hit save there at the top, then I go back to this, and you'll see the huge change here. What it has become. So it goes from this to that, which you can still see there's some stitch lines there. So if I hit play, you can see definitely those stitch lines are going to be a bit of an issue, and we're also getting our back legs in here too. So this one definitely didn't come out as good as I thought it was going to. My other shot was a bit further away from it, so you had more to play with, but I want to show you how you'd fix this. So we got to go back into our masking tool, and you see I'm just doing the same steps I did the first time with hitting the edit button, but now I'm at a different point in the timeline, which could help us out. So you see there's our problem. So just going to take this and put one right there. Yep, that looks so much better now. I'm going to do the same over here. I always try and add them to the end of where the legs come in, and the reason being is it creates the indent all the way to there. I can even make that a little bit lower. And I'll make this one lower too. And these change all based on if the drone is moving in or out and all those sort of motions that are happening. So your legs might change their area throughout your timeline, which adds even more fun to the stitching. So I hit save, and we're going to bounce back here and see how it looks. These should disappear now. Let's see, will it disappear? Bam! Alright, now we hit play. Still not amazing, so I'm going to do one more step. I'm going to hit stabilize, compute motion. So this is going to stabilize, and it's using the whole 2-minute clip to do it. Hopefully it won't take too long. I'm going to fast forward this part of the tutorial. Alright, so now we're back. Our footage has rendered for stabilization. And you can see it's definitely a lot more stable, but it reverted our stitching back in time. So this is a solution where I would say the best thing would be to stabilize it in another software called Synthesize and go for the best stitching here. So I'm going to revert actually and hit undo. So I'm going to export this out right now. And this is the final step. So now we're on to the final step, which is rendering and exporting out your file. So you're going to go up to render here. You're going to choose 4K Cinema. You're also going to choose NTSC and original video. You're going to see our frame rate jumped up to the frame rate of the original video. And again, this depends if you're exporting this in America or China, etc. Your video bitrate you're going to set to 100,000. I also set this to 4096, and then that changes to that. You can see it as well there in case you forget it. And then finally, where you save it. Probably the most important thing. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to call it Long Beach Shot 2. Then I hit render. And you can see in the time it took me to do this one shot, my other one has already rendered and exported out. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and have a great day. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments.